this is where I'm supposed to be. If I am going to live till 90, I'm at exactly the midpoint. I refuse to accept that this is just midlife. This year was an awakening. I was kind of afraid for you to see me, to see like all the messy parts. I thought I was a pretty chill person. I'd be mad at myself for getting mad at myself. Maybe I am crazy. This is my honest year in review. The beautiful parts, the transformative parts, and all the parts that shifted everything I thought I knew about myself, my family, and my business. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back. I'm about to share things that I never in a million years would have thought I would put out onto the internet. But these thoughts and these feelings have been up in here for the last, if I'm really honest, 3 years. And I've shared some things on Instagram. It's a little bit easier to do like a 24-hour story that you share a thought, something that's going on, and that's it. It goes away. But on YouTube, it kind of lives there forever unless you take the video down. So here we are. By the end of this video, you're gonna get to know me quite well. And I don't know, I am on this journey to 45. I have a few months. I turned 45 in March. It's December right now. And I'm doing a sprint. I am doing a sprint of challenging myself to show up. And honestly, it feels really good to make this video and even a little emotional. Anyway, grab a seat and grab a coffee and let's chat. I really wanted to make a video series around me turning 45 and what that means and giving back to my community who supported me in this creator journey. So I'll announce what that series is like at the end of the video. But for now, these thoughts have been marinating in my head and I just couldn't find the right words, and I think I'm finally there. There was this little voice in my head that said, slow down, take your time, it's okay. Pull yourself together first. I'm glad I stopped to listen to that little voice because this year was a phenomenal year for me. And I don't know if you're like this too. I don't know how to just sit still. I don't know how to just let the goodness in without saying, okay, cool, I did the job, I did fantastic, now moving on. What's the next thing? What is my next challenge that I have to tackle? What is the next mountain that I need to climb? And I just keep burning out. So I think that is also why it's so hard for me to stay consistent on this platform, which is a goal for 2026, because I really enjoy making videos, whether it's about gardening, whether it's introducing you to a new friend of mine, or some other adventure that I'm on. This was a year of saying yes to very hard things. Instead of just jumping right back into gardening content, it just feels right to pause, to honor the highs, to acknowledge all the challenges, and share where all of this has led me to walk into the new year and inviting you into the next chapter of my life, hopefully also inspiring you to do the same. I love watching year in review videos because it gives you the whole story, not just a snippet of the highlight reel. This year has been so full of incredible opportunities and memories, but also big decisions, big realizations, and big internal shifts. There were moments I felt like I was on top of the world. Traveling, meeting new people, creating with amazing brands this year. And then there are moments where the universe just said, sit down, you need to slow down, reevaluate everything, and ask myself what really matters. So this video is me putting it all together and sharing it with you, documenting what this year gave me, what it's taught me, and what it's pushing me to do next. One of the biggest highlights was the amount of travel I did this year. I'm still so grateful and honestly kind of shocked that there are so many brands that said, hey, you matter, your voice matters, we want you at the table. I started in February going to Northwest Flower Garden Show. I paid my own way, spent Wednesday through Sunday there, and I'm going again in 2026, but speaking this time. So if you're in the area or if you want to have a fun garden-centric trip, meet me in Seattle at the Northwest Flower Garden Show. And it was so much fun meeting all the creators that I've talked to online in DMs and finally getting to know them. And also because gardening is actually very segregated in terms of what kind of gardening we do, I didn't even know some of these creators existed until I met them at the show. And so much good came from me going out of my comfort zone. Personally, I've never been away from my family for more than a few days at a time as a mom. My sons are now 10 and 12, so I felt comfortable to leave. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I was gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 5 days as a busy mom who basically runs the household. I had to allow myself to leave for 5 days. I'm super excited for the 2026 show, so I really do hope to see some of you there. Then April, it was a family trip to Maui, and my kids actually have never been on a plane prior to this. We actually don't travel a whole lot. Hopefully that changes, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But we went on a family trip for the first time outside of California, which is huge for my kids because, again, they're 10 and 12. And we learned how to travel as a family because that's a whole different dynamic when you're out of your comfort zone of a home and you've never done it before. So then came the brand trips. So in June, I went to Bailey's, and that was amazing. Talk about brand trips of brand trips. We landed and we were wined and dined. Then we got to see all of their operations. You can see that in other videos that I've already posted. But tissue culture, how their trees are planted and grown and then packaged, and all of those things are, for plant nerds, we just soak that stuff up and love it. Then in July, I went to Ball. This is my 3rd annual trip this year to go to Ball. And even though it's in the same garden space, they do such a good job every year turning that around. And again, I do have videos of those. You can go see the garden tours. It's just so inspiring being around industry experts who their depth of knowledge, they're like the pepper expert or the petunia expert. And then how it all gets put together by their designer, my friend Landon. And it's just, and as a home gardener, as a designer myself, as a garden educator, I just get so much out of being around other people like you probably, who really appreciate plants for more than just a pretty plant. I get really excited to learn about how they're propagated, how they're grown, how they thrive, and maybe even the diseases. This year at Ball, we got to see the new seed operations of how those seeds are brought in, packaged, and organized. I mean, we're talking millions and millions across the world of seeds going everywhere. And then in August, with Proven Winners, I went to Walter's Gardens in Michigan. I don't think I can even pick 2 of like my favorite moments at the Proven Winners event, because we did, just off the top of my head, the Proven Winners Color Choice test garden tour, and Walter's Gardens, and all of their perennials are just so nice. So this year I saw acres and acres of test gardens, plants that I can't even show you because they're not released yet. Behind the scenes innovations like tissue culture and the future of horticulture. And traveling, I guess, just does something to me. It's hard, but it reconnects me with my why. The purpose of why I make these videos and why I love to share. The love of plants, of teaching, of sharing the beauty. I used to be in finance, stuck in spreadsheets, nailed to my desk. So this year, standing in a lot of these greenhouses, I had many moments surrounded by thousands of plants, thinking, this is my job? How did this become my life? It was humbling, energizing, and honestly, so much fun. Those trips will forever be some of the highlights of this year. In September, I was supposed to be done with traveling for the year, and something snuck in, and I would be missing a huge chunk of 2026 if I didn't talk about this last trip to Maine. Remember when I said I'd never been away from my family for more than 5 days? This trip was 11 days, which means I would be gone, I would not be taking my kids to school, I would not be packing lunches, and all I had to do was work. Which, if you're a working mom, you know, or even if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a mom at all, if you didn't have to be a mom, what would you even do with yourself, right? I'll get to share more in spring because it was actually for Home Depot. I went to Maine and I worked with the Epic Gardening team to design and install this amazing outdoor living space. We revamped a greenhouse. We put in a full garden with a ton of garden beds. There's even outdoor seating areas with pergolas and outdoor kitchen and all these things. There's a small team of us. It was Erin, Impatient Gardener. Some of you I know will know her. Graylin, who's gardening with Gray. And of course, you'll know Jacques in the garden. And of course, Paul and the Epic Gardening team. We came together and pulled this project off. There are so many challenges, I can't tell you yet, because it's actually going to be part of a show. That's right, I co-hosted a show. What? Like, sorry. Me, who's actually, I know you see me on camera all the time, I was the kid who would hide behind my mom's skirt. So I never thought, and I actually never had any goals to be on a show or, you know, on screen or anything like that. I just thought I would become an accountant, which I did, and I was in finance, and I just thought I was gonna ride into the sunset as a corporate bee, and that would be it. But here I am, co-hosting a show with Jacques in the Garden that's gonna launch in spring for the Home Depot YouTube channel. So please go and watch that. So yeah, it's been a big year. If you couldn't tell, I'm a crier. Luckily with editing, usually you can just edit this stuff out. Or in short form, you just cut and it doesn't matter. But in long form, you embrace it all. So here I am trying to do that because this is uncomfortable, no matter how much it may or may not seem natural. Okay, we got through it. Okay, it's really, I don't know about you, it's really hard for me to talk about, here we go again, the things I'm proud of myself. There's like this, there's something really good. And you have that thought that you're gonna wait for the shoe to drop. Sorry, you're gonna wait for the other shoe to drop. Okay, we got this, we can do this. So, hang on, okay, I'm back. So, I don't know if you're like this, but for me, sometimes it's really challenging to talk about the things that I'm proud of myself. It's almost like I don't allow myself to feel those feelings because they're so big. Here we go again. Oh, I cry when other people cry too, so it might be a good thing I can't see you. Okay, back on track, a little sip of coffee. I didn't want to do this video. I was dragging my feet to do this video and wait for when no one is home because I knew how hard it would be to film it. So another really big highlight for this year was all the people I got to meet and the friends that I got to see at all of the events I just told you about. Every trip, every event, every brand experience this year introduced me to creators, growers, designers, and business owners who just understand this world that we live in, who just get this plant world. I met friends I know I'll have for years. People who speak the same creative language, who geek out over plant tags, who understand this emotional roller coaster of content creation, and who bring just a different type of joy I never knew I was missing into my life. No one tells you how hard it is to make friends as an adult, and making aligned friends is even harder. But this year, I got to connect with people who inspired me, who challenged me, and most importantly, remind me how important community is. In the middle of all that travel and all the craziness of the year, there were a few creative moments that made me really proud. Videos I loved, stories I shared, and designs that resonated with people. There were lots of projects that felt aligned and fulfilling. Moments out there where I thought, I did that, that's effing fantastic, and someone out there needed it. And of course, watching this community on YouTube, thanks to you, I monetized this year. After posting my first video maybe 5 years ago, even during my inconsistent, messy times, you showed up. You commented, you messaged, you stuck around, and that means more than I can put into words. Here we go again. Okay, Now let's talk about the other side of the year. That was all the good fluffy stuff, which is actually harder for me to talk about than this other stuff. So hopefully we get through this a little bit easier on me. Okay, so now let's talk about the other side of the year, the challenges. But I don't want to make it doom and gloom and, oh, woe is me and poor me. It's not about that. I don't want to present these as failures and lows, but rather growth moments, pivots, and lessons that I really learned. And honestly, nothing that happened this year, no matter how challenging it was, broke me. But everything that happened shaped me. And first off, this year was a year my body said, yeah, no. And not in a gentle way, and in a very real, stop me in my tracks way. Don't worry, I'm not sick, I don't have anything scary, but this year was an awakening. Between stress, travel, overcommitting, saying yes to all of these amazing projects I just told you about, I hit a wall physically, emotionally, mentally, all the above. And I did it multiple times. Especially the last 6 months, I've noticed that mid-afternoon, I am so tired that if I lay horizontal, even for a moment, I knock out for 2 or 3 hours. And that's not normal. And I refuse to accept that this is just midlife and I'm gonna ride into the sunset and the wheels are just gonna continue to fall off, because let me tell you, the wheels have fallen off this car. And I realized I was operating on anxiety and stress. I think I knew I was burning the candle at both ends and probably in between, in the middle too, but I didn't know how to stop. I was running on adrenaline and not wellness. So that forced me to pay attention and to slow down, to take my health seriously. And it became the foundation for my decision right around my birthday in March. I knew I had to put myself first, but what does that even mean? I'm a firstborn, immigrant, female, entrepreneur, mom. How am I gonna put myself first? So it's been a journey. My default was putting myself last, pushing things off until I have time. But who has time? And I kept hearing myself throughout the year say, I'll do it after the next big project. I'll do that after the next big project. And now we're in December at the end of the year and some stuff just hasn't happened, including putting my health first. I can't start another year by not putting myself always first. And it's gonna be a huge, huge challenge. I know I'm gonna fail at it, but I'm gonna just keep doing that. Put myself first, put myself first. So early in the video, I mentioned my son having epilepsy, and that actually was a big part of me stepping away from my role in finance, building a business that I am very flexible to take him to all of his appointments. We would do overnight studies that would take 2 nights away, and we would sit in the hospital with him having leads attached to his head, hooked up to monitors to understand his epilepsy, to help him do better in school, and really just to have a better quality of life for him. We are very fortunate that I always get emotional, but this year, and actually in the last couple weeks, he's 2 years seizure-free, which means he can come off of his medication, at least one of them, he's got 2, where we can test that maybe he's outgrown it. When he was 5, we were told that he had a adolescent type of epilepsy, that he would potentially grow out of it when he hits puberty. We are one of the luckiest families that his epilepsy is manageable by medication. Yes, he had quite a few breakthroughs a few years ago, but now that he's been seizure-free, we're currently taking down his dosage, and yeah, he might be off all medication next year. Now, with that said, that's fantastic, but I'm also on high alert. We've put him back into the room with me at night because his seizures happen at night, and if I'm asleep and if he's seizing and no one is there to help him, if his body can't break out of the seizure on its own, it could be pretty final consequences, if you know what I mean. So we found out he had epilepsy right around when he was 5 years old. So I don't know if you realize how common epilepsy is, but I think it's 1 in 26 people actually will experience or are experiencing some type of epilepsy. So you can let me know in the comments if you have a loved one who also suffers from this. Without going too much more into detail, because that's his story too, I want to be respectful of his privacy, and he doesn't mind that I share, but that's his 12-year-old brain now. I don't know in the future what it might feel like for him. There were many medical moments of the last 7 years that were actually really scary, where we didn't know if he would wake up, and if he did wake up, what state would he be in? Would he be coherent? Would he be fully able? All of these things. And I am so proud and so happy to report that he is doing fantastically. And as we go through this journey of hopefully getting off of medication, it's a little nerve-wracking. It's always in the back of my brain. Like, where is he? Is he okay? Did he hit his head? Because he's also a very active kid and does sports. So if you're a mom or a mother figure, you know that you never stop worrying, no matter what age your kids are, and that's just mom life. There are many moments, as you can tell, that caused me to rearrange my life and to be fully present for my kids, because while one has epilepsy and the other doesn't, there is a whole slew of how do you make sure the other child feels seen. He's the younger brother who watches his older brother go through these things. There's so much complexity involved as a caretaker. Like, there's so much complexity in me as a mom, holding space for both of my children and my husband, and who's holding the space for me. So that was a big part of probably why I feel stressed. I am turning 45, like I said, so my body is changing. I'm trying to embrace it, and we'll see how well I do with that. But yeah, I was very much putting myself last, and 2026 is the year where we're gonna start the year strong. I'm first, because how else can I show up for my family otherwise? And also for you at home. So earlier this year, right around like our family vacation in April, I had this thought that I need to be more present. And I don't know, my son is turning 13 in February, which means he's got 5 more years before college, like going to college. So the thought of like, oh my gosh, I have 5 more years with my son, and maybe he comes back, maybe he lives at home, maybe he never leaves, right? I know some of you probably have experienced that too. And we do have a really good relationship. I hope it continues this way, where I know this isn't the end, but there is a little bit of, here we go again. Grieving that part of motherhood is coming to a close, because I really love it so much. Now I know why so many people have more and more kids, because then you never have to stop being that mother if you really love that role. And trust me, I want all my time back. I want time to take care of myself. I want time to work out, like do 2-3 hour workouts, or go hiking for half the day, or I don't know. I don't think I'll do Zumba, but apparently my mom and my mother-in-law love Zumba. So like the tears are, I don't know why it's so hard. I think if you're a mom, you understand. But anyway, he's turning 13. He's my rainbow baby that made me a mom, and being a mom is such a big part of my identity. And it's not that it would end, and I know this. Every day, very quickly, I'm becoming the shortest person in my family, and yes, I want that. I'm only 5'4" at best. I'm not factoring in that I might be shrinking as I age. And I want my kids to be tall. Like, my husband's 5'9", 5'10". I want them to be 6 feet tall, of course. Who wouldn't want their kids to be huge and healthy and happy? But at the same time, it is staring you in the face that time is going by so fast. Okay. I digress, back on track. In April, I came to the business decision that, and this decision was looming, but I never acted on it. I knew I had to give this part of my business up, but I didn't want to because that is the most stable, predictable type of revenue income. Even though I got it dialed in, we were super efficient, we have really great clients, and I'm so thankful because of these platforms. I have some celebrity clients here in Los Angeles. I made that decision that in June I would have my final garden installation. For now, it was for a Major League Baseball player's family who they were in the World Series, and I won't mention who out of privacy, but we're a baseball family. My kids play in Little League. I'm a Little League board member this year. So it was a really, really big deal. And it was such an amazing moment to be able to ask my husband, who is like the biggest baseball fan, be like, hey, do you know who this guy is? I don't know. And he was like, yeah, why? Because we don't talk sports. And for him to his jaw dropped when he found out that this family was going to be a client of mine. So it was really nice to end on that note. We still have great relationships with our clients that we are continuing to maintain their gardens, and I will keep designing gardens, just probably virtually. I still do in-person consultations, but I'm doing a little bit of a shift. It's to go with the economy, to also go with my current lifestyle, and to fit in that I still want to design because it brings me so much joy that I can bring another family joy, but not stretch myself too thin. That opened up so much of my time, but then it left me with too much time to sit there and question, like, who am I? Who am I without installations? What does my business look like? How am I gonna make money if I'm not installing gardens? The traditional model is you buy wholesale, you apply your labor, you apply all of the design, fees, and you apply everything, then you charge for that markup, right? And that's how you make your money. But if I'm not installing, how am I gonna keep my business up and afloat? And maybe it's because I'm a firstborn immigrant female, maybe, but I didn't realize how competitive I was. I thought I was a pretty chill person, but I compete with myself a lot. Nobody knows it, but it's all up in here. Maybe I'm a little cuckoo. I don't know. You tell me if you're the same way. Maybe that I said it out loud. Maybe I am crazy. But in the last 6 months, since I did my last installation, I'm trying to give myself grace, not to get all worked up in my head. I fail all the time, and I try to reset and say, what is the universe trying to tell me now? And the overarching is that it's okay. No one's dying. I'm not a heart surgeon. It's okay. It's okay that I'm still figuring things out, but I want to be figuring it out from a grounded and a healthier place. And honestly, I struggle with so much guilt. Mom guilt, work guilt, and I think this year also I've accepted that I'm a people pleaser. I knew I was a perfectionist, and that really stopped me from posting videos. I would go as far as doing the work, filming it, editing it, and there would just be like 1 or 2 more things to do, and I would just not post it because, you know what, time's over, motivation's gone, or XYZ, it wasn't perfect, and then I just wouldn't post. And then I would get mad at myself, and then I would feel guilty about the mad, and then I'd be mad at myself for getting mad at myself. And so it was, anyway, you can tell, just down the drain this year. And now sitting here looking back, I just needed to give myself breathing room. I needed to heal, to recover, and just let life kind of settle instead of trying to do more and more and more. And when I think about, my kids are athletes, we tell them in the off season, that's when you train, that's when you build. So then when you get to your actual season, you perform. And it's the same thing with plants, right? Like most plants, they have an off season where maybe the seeds are vernalizing in the fridge or, under a blanket of snow. And then when spring comes, then they're ready and rejuvenated and ready to grow, and they're healthy and they bloom and everything's fantastic. But I wasn't doing that for myself. So this year has just taught me so many things. Now that I think about it, I forgot to tell you about Pasadena Showcase House. Maybe it's the trauma. I love that project, but it was the third year I've done it. I had 3 separate garden spaces and concepts, and I installed it by myself, and I had amazing partners like Armstrong Garden Center and Power Planter and Star Roses and Plants that make it happen, but I think it broke me. And I kind of blocked it out of my head. I never made the video for you because it was just too much. But I will be making that video because that garden needs to be seen. My greenhouse from the 2024 Pasadena Showcase House was fabulous. And this is from BC Greenhouses. And there was just so much I didn't share because I was kind of afraid for you to see me, to see like all the messy parts. But we're not gonna do that in 2026. And that's why I need to make this video. So now you know all the ins and the outs about me. That slowing down is not a failure, that it's okay to take those days of rest. And actually I should plan those days of rest in. That my body deserves care and not just punishment and just pushing it. That my business should support my life, not the other way around. And that growth is sometimes slowing down, stepping back, just so you can step forward better and stronger. Growth is not linear and it looks different for everyone. So I'm walking into next year with a lot more clarity and conviction, I would even say, and definitely alignment than I have in a long time. So what does that mean for you? And no, that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop making YouTube videos. But in terms of my garden design business here in LA, I wanna focus on work that lights me up. I'll be doing more virtual garden designs. I still teach at both of the elementary schools in our town. I'm gonna make myself actually sit down and produce these digital products before spring, so everyone is set and ready to go, because I've had all of these ideas about what digital products that you need to help you really grow well, and I need to have them out before spring. I want my content on this channel to be community driven. To be honest, I felt like this channel was a little bit lopsided. It was so garden heavy, and it looks like a gardening channel, and that seems normal and it seems like it's right. But to me, I felt like I wasn't sharing my authentic self, and that's why I had to make this video. So it's all out there, and so if it pops up as part of my gardening content, you might be like, oh, okay, I get it. I know a little bit more about Chiming and the things about her. So I will share more and more stories about me, my family, and things like that. I don't want to be a self-centered creator. I want to be someone who shares my experiences so you can learn from them, or you can build on your own, or be inspired to do whatever amazing things that you're going to do. On the surface, I definitely want you to garden because I think there's so many benefits from gardening. If at the end of the day that my story of how I went from corporate to now owning my own business and garden, which is not my background at all, as a mom, this whole journey of finding myself and getting fit, if that inspires you to do something different about your life to make it into the life that you want, then my job's done. And that makes me really happy and fulfilled that I've helped you. I can't do a year in review without talking about it. I almost forgot. I didn't tell you, I did one of the hardest, most out of character things I've ever done. One other thing that happened in November was I was selected to be a model, yes, runway model, for our local Education Foundation annual Ladies Night Out fundraiser, where people in the community get selected based on their community service and how they help the community. So I'm a Little League board member. I was on the environmental committee for the district and also for the city, and I teach at both of the schools. So I didn't realize this, but that made me a prime candidate. So I got to wear Paige, I walked the runway, I picked the song, and here's the video. Yes, that's me. Totally out of character. Maybe in my 20s this was very normal, so if you knew me in my 20s, a little bit of that came back. I was wearing 5-inch Louboutin heels. Walking that runway was one of the hardest things I've had to do, and I don't know if it was the stress from that or I had an allergic reaction to maybe the makeup, but my face blew up. or maybe it was a combination of the two, because I was so worked up. I was losing sleep over it. We had hair, makeup, routine. We had to pick out the outfit, and it was an amazing experience. I'm so glad I did it because I needed to push myself out of the comfort zone in a safe space, and it was a room full of women. I think they said they sold 400 tickets, okay? So there was so much support in the room that when I walked down that runway and I shook my booty, I think I kind of blacked out because I don't remember all the details. It just felt amazing to be that supported. So anyway, that was my face blowing up a couple days after that was just a big clue on I really need to manage my stress. I need to figure out what is going on with this perimenopausal body of mine. And it's like a circus. It's really fun right now. So if you're in it with me, please let me know in the comments so I don't feel so lonely. Actually, I know some of you are going through this too, because a lot of my friends in real life that I see, we all are complaining about it, whether it's the random itchy ear or itchy scalp or random bumps and bruises or forgetfulness, mind fog, like brain fog. I'm over it. So that's part of why I am tired of being tired, and we're gonna do something about it. Anyway, moving on. Earlier you heard me talk about a sprint to 45. And it's not like a fast run to 45. Sprint in the corporate world is, and at least the tech side of things, is you take a chunk of time and you're gonna focus and you're gonna hyper focus, and you're gonna just like really get into it in that time period. So from now until 45, which is March 16th, I'm actually not a big birthday person, but it is a milestone situation, and it helps me kind of put a deadline. I'm gonna start doing 2 series. One is gonna be Fit by 45, where I'm gonna share how I'm meal planning, how, like you can see, I got an Oura ring recently and it's only been about a week and I absolutely love it. I don't want a calorie count, I don't want a macro count. That is just too much for my brain, but I do wanna be fit, I do wanna learn. So I have my Oura ring and I have, you can't see it, but I have a glucose monitor on. And I don't have diabetes, but I do want to understand how my body responds to certain foods, because I am getting older. There's nothing I can do about that, but I can at least do it confidently and make smart decisions and not make the P word, perimenopause, worse than it already is. Now, maybe I'll end up on HRT. Maybe I need a GLP-1. I don't know, but I get fed all this content that's telling me I'm not enough, that I need to fix this, I need Botox, I need all of these things, and I have nothing against that, but I know, if I'm very honest with myself, I don't have the best sleep habits, which is at the bottom layer of being healthy. You need really good rest, and I'm eating healthy, but sometimes I'm eating late at night. If I'm up editing a video or something, I just like feel a little snacky. Well, now the ring and the glucose monitor is keeping me in check. So that is one series I'm gonna call Fit by 45, and I'll kind of document and share. And it's not just about me, it's also my husband's health. Like, I am the ruler of the home in terms of what comes in food-wise, what goes into my family. Like, I have to meal plan everything, and I have 2 growing boys and a grown husband who they eat a lot. So if you are a boy mom, you know what I'm talking about. I always thought girls and boys are the same. No, they're different. So my boys can crush so much food, but then one's pickier and one's not, and this person likes that. And so it's just mind-numbing. But I need everyone to be healthier, because I realized 45 is literally midlife, right? Like, if I am going to live till 90, I'm at exactly the midpoint. And it's caused me to lay awake at night thinking, wow, what have I done in the last 45 years? And what am I doing going forward? So anyway, there's been all of these different things in my head, and now it's time to just share what I've been doing, what works, what doesn't work, And obviously this is what works for me. I'm not an expert, but maybe you'll find some inspiration for your own health journey. The goal is not to be skinny. I'm a product of the 80s and, you know, the Kate Moss era of like the super, super thin people. I'm not that. I want to be strong. I want to be healthy. I want to live as long as I can to see maybe grandkids. I mean, who knows? Maybe great grandkids. I have no idea. But I know that I don't want to cut it short, and I just want to make the best of it because my kids are amazing, and I am a little competitive where they can definitely outrun me. Probably soon will be able to outlift me if I don't get my stuff in order. I used to be pretty fit. I used to do double soul cycle classes back to back. That's 90 minutes of cycling, like intense cycling. I was able to do it and still have energy. Now, the thought of it makes me want to take a nap. So we need to get this ball going. So anyway, Fit by 45, that's what that one's about. And then the next one is kind of a passion project for me. The other series I want to launch is 45 by 45, which means I'm going to design 45 gardens by the time I turn 45. You've supported me to become a designer, to become a creator. I decided in 2020 I was gonna give it a shot. And 5 years later, I did it, and I couldn't have done it without you. This is me giving back to you, my community, for supporting me so far. Maybe you don't have a budget to hire a full-time designer to revamp a space, but you're willing to roll up your sleeves and dig in. I'll share a link. You'll be able to submit your garden to see if I select it to be designed. I'm going to try to select spaces that are relatable. So even if I don't end up selecting your design, you will be able to take pieces of those designs and think like, oh, I can do this in my space. I have a space that looks just like that. So that is the goal for 45 by 45. I'll share a submission link in the caption below so you can drop in your information. And I don't know, it makes me really, really excited. I feel pumped to design. I'm gonna document that process, and I haven't the exact details of what the design's gonna entail, but I do know I'll have a plant palette, a layout, step-by-step instructions on how to DIY these projects. I feel like there's a lot of DIY videos, and then there's like professional videos on how to garden or how to set up your garden, but there isn't something right in the middle where you don't know what you don't know. And that's where I come in, and I'm gonna call this a DIY plus. I'm the plus sign, and you're the DIY. I'll be sure to include my recommendations, everything I've learned as a garden installer the last 5 years, so you can do it better at your own house. We might even touch upon what I would recommend as irrigation, how to set it up yourself, things like that. And if that sounds good, make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss these episodes. And by putting it out there and saying it out loud to you right now, I'm hoping that I do a weekly video of each of the two to kind of vlog and show you my Fit by 45 and then also the design work that I'm working on. And these designs are actually, I'm doing them for free because I want to give back to my community. I am launching a DIY plus opportunity to work with me if you want to do that, if you don't want to wait. I'll do a whole separate video explaining that later. Before I wrap this up, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being patient through all of the inconsistency and the messiness. Thank you for sticking around and supporting, for rooting for me even when I went quiet. Now you know why I went quiet after this video, but this year changed me. It softened me, it strengthened me, and honestly, it prepared me. I'm walking into 2026 with so much clarity and conviction, and just with so much gratitude that this is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm so excited to share it with you. I'll see you in the next video.